glad I didn't die at that last straight fly. I could have easily prolonged this experience by a good bit. Alright. 314 attempts. Insane Demon for sure. I can't say I had fun with this. I don't know if I would... Yeah. I think if we're starting off with the gameplay, I would say it's not good. I would say it's bad. And it's really choke pointy. And that got pretty irritating. The 3 blue orb clicks towards the start, like 10%, which very choke pointy timing, especially since it was setup dependent on how you did the click out of the gap with the block above your head beforehand. Made it a lot harder, if you maybe even impossible if you didn't time that correctly, which was not fun to deal with. The start of both fast cubes, representing the first and second half of the drop, were also definitely choke points in their own right. The wave was a choke point. There's only one wave section that I need to specify. It's just the wave. That one ship right after the second half of the drop, the upward curved straight fly, that was also not good. And then the last ship as well, last straight fly, definitely a choke point. You can't see your icon by the end of it. So yeah, I really don't think the gameplay had much thought put into it. It really did feel like the gameplay was an afterthought in this level. And yeah, I was not a fan of that. I didn't really have too much fun playing this. But it didn't really get me particularly mad because it wasn't that hard. And the parts that are not choke points are extremely easy. So there's that at least. As far as the visuals are concerned, I think that it starts out pretty solid. I do like the first part in the pre-drop with the cubes, the blue part with all the cubes. I think that part is pretty well made, and I think the structuring is well done. Having smaller block components to make up larger structures allows for a lot of variety and allows for your creativity to shine with structuring. I think the layering within the box objects looks pretty good. I also like the little pulsing ring that synced to the song in the background. That was a dynamic music sync oriented detail that is really the only one in the level. And that kind of is my main thing with this level, is that I think the first part is very solid, looks very good. The rest of the level doesn't meet that bar that is set by the first part. Pretty much every structure throughout the rest of the level is just a flat rectangle. This level definitely has rectangle disease, rectangular structure disease. It's definitely a common pitfall for newer creators, and Jedwint only has 2 levels, this being his second, so definitely is on the newer creator side of things, and it's definitely something I see a lot where just all the structures in a level are just base rectangles, and it can be boring. It doesn't allow your level to really pop or stick out. Obviously a rectangle isn't actively bad, but it's not anything special, and it just can lead to a lot of monotony within your level if you don't do anything unique with the structures. I also feel like there's really not a set color scheme throughout those later parts. I mean, there kind of is during the first half of the drop, for the first half, but once the second half of the drop, it's kind of a mess color-wise, where it never really looks actively bad, but it doesn't feel like there's really a point to any of the pulses. They don't really sync that well. The colors don't necessarily form some sort of smaller gradient that would work well for a pulse. It doesn't work, and I think that the post-drop section, the last 30% of the level, is just too dark with the colors, particularly the spider. It just really feels like it should be a bit brighter, and I think the brightness was not nailed in that part. And in general, I just think that the designs are a lot more basic the further you get into the level. And there's not really a lot of details that sync with the music. I really do think that the first part kind of nailed all the aspects of a fairly standard styled glow design that I'd be looking for, and it just kind of declined as the level went on and certain parts were taken away. it just was not as consistent as I would like it to be. But the high quality of that first part definitely shows Jedwint has the potential to make a solid level within this style, because obviously there was a part that I had a lot of praise for, but it just didn't last for the whole duration of the level. I do think this does pass my bar for star rate, not by much, but it still does, so I did figure that it was worth beating and uploading, even though I really didn't enjoy playing it. If I was someone who really factored gameplay into a level being rate worthy or not, I probably wouldn't have finished it because I wouldn't have considered it above that bar, but I personally don't think gameplay matters a lot when it comes to a level getting rated. It's pretty subjective, more subjective than decoration in my mind, where as far as decoration is concerned, there's definitely like a certain bar that if you level like cross, like it should just get rated, you know? I feel like that's a lot more easily determinable by just comparing with other in-game rated levels, whereas gameplay is subjective. And while I don't expect this to be a very enjoyed level in the grand scheme of things. Who knows? Maybe I'm an outlier for not enjoying this. You never know. So, yeah, I definitely think that Jedwint could improve on their creating in general, but considering the first part is fairly decent, I would say that they've definitely proven that they have it in them to create a pretty solid feature-worthy level, and I would hope to see that in the future. This is a late 2.1 level, and Jedwint hasn't released anything since. I don't know if there's anything cooking in the back burners, but if there is, I'll be excited to check it out. But yeah, GG's.